Welcome to the SheShed. I am super excited to have you here. And of course, I'm glad to have my guest here tonight. So many of you already know just, how we are over here in the SheShed. I like to bring you opportunities to learn something new. And I'm a firm believer you're going to learn something new by my guest tonight. This is Janine McJannet, and we met at a retreat last year. It seems like it's been forever ago, but it was last year, and we've been hanging out ever since. Okay. But she is the mom of two teenage girls, 17 and 14. She has been with her husband for over 32 years. And we love over here at the SheShed. So we're just super excited for her, and we celebrate that union. She is a poet. I always get that word kind of mixed up, but y'all know what I mean. She tells poems. And she is a soul empowerment coach. She is a hypnotherapist. I'm curious to know what that is. And she also is certified in rapid transformational therapy. And I definitely want to know more about that because I know when she got that certification. And so we're super excited about it. So I want to now introduce you all to Janine McJannet. Hello, my dear.
Hello, my dear. Thank you for having me in the SheShed. I am so excited about the conversation, and I love meeting you out. And it was last year, just this time last year almost. So how much can happen within a year? And you made such an impact with me as well. There was a really special connection, and it was just worth it. I just wanted to hug you. Like as soon as I heard you, your heart and your soul are you enunciate and you express so well, and that's what made me pull towards you, because you know what they say, you want to hang around, the 5 people that you hang around with the most are who you're going to grow to be with and like. So I counted you as one of those.
Well, I honestly, I feel the same way. It was amazing to me because like once I learned your story, I'm like, there is absolutely no way this woman has gone through this because she's so bubbly and fun. And I know we're going to share a lot of that later, but I just wanted to be in your company. And it was so funny because one of the things that I really remember about that retreat is we had an activity where we connected. And I was convinced that you had seen right into my soul because you were saying things. And I was like, okay, who is this woman? Clutch my pearls. I don't know who she is, but I'm gonna need her hanging around me. So I don't know. I just really just drew to you. And now I know why. And they're gonna know why. So I told what I know about you. So tell us those things about Janine that we don't know. I do know that in your bio, one of the things that you said that was very curious, that struck my curiosity, and I know that's one of your favorite words, but one of the things that struck my curiosity is you stated that you were something about an orphan adult. And I was like, what? I don't understand that. So tell me what that means.
Yeah, sure. So Janine McJannet, I'm coming to you from the Yukon, which is in northern Canada. So we're miles apart, but we're still kindred. An orphaned adult child. What the heck is that? An adult child, it can be 2 things. It could be a child who is an adult, and we all children, or the lucky ones, get to become an adult. But there's a term, it's actually a membership called ACA, Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunctional Families. Put your hand up if you're from a dysfunctional family, because I think like 99% of us are. And I am as well. And orphaned, I've lost both of my parents, and both of them did have the alcoholic disease. And so there was a lot of dysfunction growing up. As one of 5 siblings, I was smack right in the middle. And I learned ways to cope that my mother showed me. That's what generational patterns are all about. We learn from those that teach us, those our parents, our school teachers, our friends. And that's how our beliefs are formed. And that's where I am very heavily involved in the work that I'm doing now, because for the majority of my life, I was caged, I was cooped up in this corporate cage of complacency, which is 30 years almost working in a government setting. And then I look at my whole life and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was cooped up as well in this cage of complacency, thinking that these bars were in front of me. I couldn't go anywhere. I limited myself. So yeah, all of those beliefs that we get injected into us as we grow up can be so fatal in our relationships with ourselves and with other people. And that's what I started to find, the cards that were dealt to me weren't the best cards. I mean, nobody has the best cards dealt to them.
Nope.
There's always stuff going on, right? So
Mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
that's where I ended up finding this work. I had to create something, a program that could help me and people like me create that pain in a much shorter span, So instead of waiting 30 years to find out what you're all about and to get on the top of your game, let's
Right,
just move that down to like 3 months or 6 months and start really getting into the work. So yeah,
right.
that's where it came from.
So we're going to get into exactly what you do, because I really, like I said, I want to share that information with, the ladies in the SheShed, or the people in the SheShed, because we do have some fellows that watch it too. But I do want to share that. But I guess I'm curious to know, like, what was your turning point? Like, what was that point what was transpiring in your life to where you realized that you had to create, as you just said, something has to change, like
Yeah.
something. What was that point for you?
Well, there was multiple points. And I mean, when I look back on my own timeline, I'm like, oh, that one hurt. Oh, that was a big one. But a lot of those points didn't really transform my life. They were big markers in my life. And in those times, I was like, oh, I remember everything that happened in those times. So a big turning point would have been the reason why I'm here. Both of my parents, as I mentioned, they drinking problems, and one moved to Australia with myself and my two sisters, and the other one moved up here, my dad, to the Yukon. So I came to visit him, and I was about to leave and carry on with my merry old life and do some traveling and play, because play is so important. And I had just found my voice, after teenage years of feeling quite shushed and not being able to express myself. I was really finding myself. And then I came home the day before I was planning on leaving here, and I found my father. I found him dead on his bed, with his little dog on his chest. And
Mhm.
one might think, oh, that's enough to change your life for the better, because you're going to smarten up and you're going to start to live with more intention. But it really did the opposite for me. And I fell down this spiral of blame and shame and resentment and guilt and all of those. And then it was quite turpid. The next 20 years, I was in and out of really reality.
Mhm.
And I did use
Mhm.
alcohol. I wasn't using it every single day or in massive accounts, but when things got tough, I'll have a drink. And so did everybody. It's such a common thing. So I fell right into my generational pattern of drinking to cope, drinking to manage. And whatever that addiction is, it doesn't have to be drinking, whatever substance abuse, whether it's, physical, shopping,
Yep, yep,
um,
yep.
or behavioral, right? Anger, frustration, whatever it is, we all need something to help us. And so that was my choice, my addiction choice, I guess. So if you ask what a turning point was, and I know I'm blithering on a bit, but
No, this is good.
it happens. The turning point was after so many years of being, I say, locked up in the government job, waiting for that golden handshake or the pension, in a relationship that was kind of stale, in my own mind and body that was really starting to become monotonous. It wasn't growing. I was stale. I
Mm.
decided to give up drinking like almost 3 years ago. So that was a beautiful turning point, to be able to make a decision and just change it. Oh my gosh, I could never have expected such freedom to come from it. To be able to do and be, feel, express. And of course, there's all sorts of things that go with that. It's not just a rosy, rainbow unicorn path. But that was a turning point as well. So yeah, lots of turning points that
Well,
happen.
I don't want to smooth over that. Congratulations on those 3 years. That is big, you know.
Yeah.
Um, Alcohol was not my thing, but as a recovering food addict, addiction is addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Addiction is
And addiction
addiction.
in whatever form, you just like, you think you need it. You believe that you
You
need it.
believe it. Mm-hmm.
Your mind says you need this to feel protected. You need this to feel safe. You need this to feel belong. You need this to feel love. And so
Yes.
then you start to believe it thoroughly through your whole body. So yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's amazing because I think because both of us being in um, coaching and mentoring and counseling and doing all those things, some type of therapeutic
yeah,
adventure, we see a lot. And a lot of times people tend to not realize that there's an addiction. There can even be an addiction to toxicity. And
yeah,
sometimes people don't realize that. And I know that was one of the things that we talked about on the retreat on how you can gravitate to toxic people because that's all you know. And when it's something that's not toxic, you think there's something wrong with that. Can you share your points on how you feel about that?
yeah. That's so well said. Our mind wants to keep us safe, as I mentioned. It also wants to keep us comfortable. So whatever we know, whatever our patterns were in the past, it's kept us comfortable. We know that, whether it is chaos or whether it is something else, we do what we tell our mind to do. And sometimes
Right.
it's subconscious, that message. And our mind really learns by images and words. So how we speak to ourselves, what the stories are, whatever excuses or evidence that we find to
Mhm.
make a decision or not make a decision, which is still making a decision, it's backed up and we're going to believe it. So our mind wants to be comfortable, and we will do anything. I did 30 years in my corporate job because it was comfortable. I thought it was comfortable because I got a paycheck, because, I could go home, I could get groceries, I could do things because I had that constant paycheck. But now I look back and I was trapped. I was trapped in that. And I wasn't living to my fullest. I wasn't living authentically. I wasn't expressing myself. I wasn't, releasing my skills and my talents. I was just one of those toy soldiers who was just walking, yes, yes, no, no. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love the term that you use because you said caged in complacency. And that's exactly what it feels like,
Yeah.
when you are trapped in or feel as though, and I don't even know if when you're in situations like that you even feel that you're trapped. Like you said, it feels as something that you need.
Yeah.
It
Because
feels
it's
like something that
comfortable.
you
Yeah.
need.
Yeah. You have this comfort thing. You're not even aware of it. And that's why all of these self-development and self-growth gurus are like, awareness is the first step. I
Mhm.
tend to disagree with that. And I may be shot down for it, but I don't care, because before awareness, you need curiosity. And there's that word again. You have
Mm.
to understand that there is something else that you want out there. Awareness just doesn't come and knock you on the door. For me, like my father dying, that could have brought me into awareness, but I wasn't curious about whether life could be better or not. I just thought that I lived in this little box and I'm just going to be that toy soldier and I'm just going to march on and life will come and go. But it can
Mm.
be so different when you look at that. Curiosity is like the key, and awareness is the lock. And once you use that curiosity to open up awareness, then the doors fling open and boom, you're there confronted with all sorts of options and decisions that you can make. So it's a choice. And we always talk about choices, and that's what transformation is. You have a choice to transform. You have a choice to make different decisions on where you want to go, on who you want to be with. Get me going on this because I can.
Yeah, but you know what? It's interesting that you're saying this because one of the things that we all say, so many of y'all know that I work with survivors of domestic abuse and sexual trauma. And so, I have people always asking, well, how do I get out? You cannot create an exit plan until you can see yourself out of it. And that's just not in an abusive relationship. That's in life. That's on a job. That's on a relationship. That's in everything, right?
Mhm.
So it's just amazing that you're saying it. And I loved how you said curiosity is the key and awareness is the lock. And I would even go further in saying that, and then acceptance is the door. Because
Yeah.
once you accept it, the world is open to you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm just curious, to how do you use, I know you have the hypnotherapist. Well, first of all, explain what hypnotherapy is to us that, don't know.
Well, there's two kinds of hypnotherapy, and you may have seen one of them. It's stage hypnosis, where some comedian might get there and make you cluck like a chicken or something. And then there's hypnotherapy. So I'm in the latter, in hypnotherapy, and I have studied the brand, which is RTT, which is rapid transformational therapy. So what hypnotherapy does, and I am in love with this modality, is it allows you to access your subconscious mind. And when done with the right guide, an RTT therapist, for example, or a practitioner, then you are able to access that subconscious, access the beliefs, access the situations that have created some of the beliefs that are keeping you stuck, some of the limiting beliefs. And that's what RTT and hypnotherapy is about, because we merge them together.
Okay.
And in hypnosis, which is really just a very, very relaxed state of mind, going from the alpha to the beta wavelength. It's where you go just before sleep. So you're surrendering, you're letting go of a little bit. Your conscious mind, which, is just always trying to play the game, even though it's only there for 5-10% of our time, right? We live in our subconscious. Our decisions are made from our subconscious mind. Our behavior is created because of our subconscious. So in hypnotherapy, accessing the subconscious and understanding what some of those root causes are that have led to behavior that you want to transform. And that behavior could be anything. It could be addictions. It could be nail biting. It could be low confidence and low self-esteem. I just had a call this morning that was all about public speaking. It could be what's in your way, what's stopping you. We all have things that stop us. And when we feel that, it's because it's linked to a root cause. So hypnotherapy allows a conversation. And the first time I did, I'm like, you want me to talk? I'm supposed to talk like as a client? It's really about getting to that and having a really open, authentic conversation about what happened, not reliving any experience. It's regression, but just revisiting it and then being able to put the two together and understand that this thing that happened, this belief that I got when I was younger is responsible for this behavior now. And then we rip that apart, that limiting belief, and we reframe it and we transform it. And in doing that, we do some inner child healing work in the middle of it, because our inner child is a part of us. And that's the voice that could be afraid, that snaps up in anger or frustration. Absolutely. And so it's connecting and integrating those, and then coming out with a transformational experience, following it up with an audio, which is the coolest part, because we can talk all we want. We can read a book and go, oh, that's a great idea. But if we don't change our brain, then it's going to stay the same. So there's an audio that comes with the experience, with the RTT session, and you listen to it for 21 days minimum. And it's the language that you have told yourself, that you tell me in our call, that's put together for you to listen to, because it's all the stories that we tell ourselves. And if we're going to tell ourselves crap stories all the time, like I'm not good enough, I'm not smart, I'm not beautiful, then our mind is going to believe it, because we believe what we tell it.
That's right. That's right. I know one of the things I remember on one of our conversations was the saddest thing is we hear everything that we say and everything that we think. And you can't turn that off. I don't know what you're thinking about me, but I know what I'm thinking about me. So I hear it. And I'm teaching it to that little girl that's on the inside of me, right? So I have a question for you. If there is a person that is sitting there struggling, because I also know, before I go there, I also know that you do soul empowerment coach. What is that? What is a soul empowerment coach?
Well, it's an empowerment coach for women. And it's really at a cellular level. I say it's really to access the soul. It's not very specific. It's not, for one thing, it's not to lose weight, or it's not to get a job promotion. It's to do the soul excavation. It's to dig into the soil and really start to empower you, re-empower you to whom you were when you were born, because we have all these beliefs thrown on top of us that just limit us from being. So soul empowerment is really diving into the roots of your own family tree, excavating them, keeping the ones that you
Absolutely.
need, and then allowing yourself, pruning off your branches and allowing yourself to grow and to bloom as you want to be instead of as someone else wants you to be. So that's, I do help people pleasers a lot. People pleasers overcome those disempowering beliefs so that they can live a playful and painful curiosity through their lives, you know?
Mm, that's good. Like, yeah, the playful and painful. You have to have both. You have to be willing to experience both. And a lot of times we don't want to deal and dig into those things because they hurt. But there's
Yeah.
something in that pain that brings us to the person that we're created
Yeah.
to be, right?
Yeah. And you can play in pain. It doesn't mean you're laughing and skipping the way through life, but pain, you can either wear it a long time and it just gets heavier and heavier, or you can be that investigator, which is a lot of what the work is in RTT. Investigate what's going on, investigate how you're feeling. Stop, like just stop, like, what am I feeling? Express it to yourself, write it down, sing it out, scream it out, stomp it out, just get it out somehow. And so, yeah, you can play. You can play in the mud just as well as you can play in the flowers. And it's exciting work.
Yeah, I know I had a guest that she said something that stuck with me. And she said, you have to be willing to show you're messy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and you're saying the exact same thing. Like it can be flowers or it can be mud, but you gotta get in there. You gotta get in the ring. You gotta toss it around, right?
You
So
got to
I'm
extend.
curious if there's a young lady or person that is watching the show and they're saying, yeah, I have those limits and beliefs, and I anybody that's been around me long enough, you heard me say, we all have a 6-year-old that lives on the inside of us, and she's here and she has been with you through everything you've been through. And sometimes you have to tap into her and show her that love that nobody else has been able to show her. And that to me, it sounds like a lot of what you're saying right now. Like you're saying it from I'm using logic, but you're using psychology, but it's still like all that same, like you have got to get in there and give her space and let her say how she feels. And that's self-discovery, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So if you have someone that's there, and what would you say? What would you say to her if she is battling with being able to connect with that little girl?
You know what? First thing I'd say is, or I'd ask is, are you listening? Are you listening? Because our default sometimes is to speak, to override, to fix, to rescue, whatever that is, to protect others, to not be vulnerable because we don't want to get our throats ripped open and we don't want to be held up and ridiculed in one way or another. So are you listening to the voices inside your head? I look at it as like a big family reunion, an inner family reunion, coming to the dining room table, and I'm at the head. And so every adult, integrated adult self is at the head, and then all of the parts show up, right? And it could be the angry inner child. It could be the vulnerable inner child. It could be what's referred to as the outer child, which is the one that shows up to try to protect your inner child with self-sabotaging behavior. It could be shame, blame, any kind of emotion that shows up. What are you listening? Are you listening to it, or are you trying to stuff it away and saying, no, that's not me? That's when the masks come up, right? The masks of all the people pleasers, like, I can do it. I can do it. Just go away, just go away. But it's just like a pressure cooker. The more that comes in and doesn't get released, the more the gas is going to build up, and eventually it's going to pop. So that's the question I would ask. Are you listening? Because there is power in listening, and not just to other people, but into yourself. So giving
Mm,
ourselves the space and the grace to listen to ourselves and really investigate, be curious, become aware, acceptance, acknowledging, and all of those different pieces. Get together at a family reunion inside and see what's going on, because there's solutions inside of the problems. How long do you want to carry the problems around with you for? How much can you fit in your backpack until you can't walk up anymore? You know, it's about lightening the load and really looking at what is weighing you down and getting rid of it, keeping what's really important to you, but getting rid of it so that it doesn't pull you down. It doesn't stop you from doing things that you really want to do. That we're only here for a short time, right?
But how do you really get rid of something that you have that has become part of your existence? It's part of who you are, or at least you feel it's part of who you are.
Yeah, that's it. It's understanding, and that's the power. Understanding that our beliefs can be changed. That was the biggest aha moment for me. You mean I don't have to believe what I believed in all my life? Nope. You have a choice to create your own belief system. And if there's something, if you're questioning a belief, if you don't even know what your beliefs are, because we have so many of them, start writing them down. What is stopping me here? Oh, I'm not going to go for that job interview because I'm not smart enough. Boom, there's a belief. I'm not smart enough. Take that. And then when you start questioning it, because our mind finds all the evidence, oh, I'm not smart enough because this happened to me and I failed at this and I failed at that. Flip the chart and look to the past, cast into the past, and you'll find evidence on the other side. And again, it's the stories that we tell our mind. So we're overwhelming our systems with BS. You could look at that as belief systems or bullshit, you know? I don't swear.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny you said that because I say it all the time. You got to get rid of the BS, the
Yeah.
belief system. Get rid
Yeah.
of it. It's doing you no good. But we do get to that point where we're trapped. We become trapped in what we have always known to be true. And the only truth is what you make true.
Mm-hmm. And it's the questioning of it's the inquiry of your own beliefs that is really paramount in transformation. And that's what RTT therapy and hypnotherapy is all about. I want to share a little poem with you that I think might be on cue with this. It's called The Voice Inside. And it's about a conversation between our parts. And I wrote this, I don't know, I wrote this last year sometime, because the voices can get really loud sometimes, and they can put you in the back seat. We always want to be driving. We always want to be in control, but we have to be open to listen to the parts and to live in that kind of harmony. Hey, I'm talking to you. You got a half empty cup? What nonsense you've been listening to you. I'm going to start again. Okay. Can I start again?
Absolutely.
Hey, I'm talking to you. You got a half empty cup? What nonsense you've been listening to. You know what? You need to show up. This ain't showing up just for you. Take a look around and see. You ain't in this world alone, and there's plenty who'll agree. It's that damn voice inside your head. You know, the one that tries to shame you, the one that keeps trying to knock you down, the one that tries to blame you. That voice keeps saying over and over that you just ain't good enough, not smart, not loving, not beautiful, not caring, not strong, and not tough. You see, you got an option, and you know this to be true. You can shove that voice right out the door, and you can start to show up for you. It takes 1 second to make a change, and you can ponder on that all day, but all you really got to do is get out of your own way. Remember when, where, and how you succeeded in the past. You're strong and smart and bloody tough, and you can bring that feeling back. So that voice, take that voice inside your head. It's like a puppet in a ring. You got control. You are the boss. You get to pull the string. Show up, stand up, rise up above. Your new voice is coming from pain. Sure, let yourself get down, girl, but then get right back up again. It's not worth the trouble, you might say. Oh, yes, it is. This is your choice and it's your day.
Yes, I love it. Oh my gosh, you're gonna have to send me that so I can publish it, put it out there. I'm
Yeah.
sure you got it somewhere, but that was great. And it resonates, right? I mean, and I'm sure that someone is sitting there thinking, wow, yeah, I said all those things. But like you
Yeah.
said, no, that's not it. And this is what this is, the Boss Up podcast. So you are the boss. You are the boss. So Janine, I am
Love it.
so thankful for you coming through. I know I'm going to put the information on how they can connect with you on Facebook in the Soul Empowerment Lounge. But how else can people get in contact with you if they want to reach out?
JanineMcJannet.com, and I'll give you my Linktree address too. It's just Linktree Janine McJannet. And I've got my business page, which is something I can't remember because I don't use it enough. And my group, which is the Soul Empowerment Lounge. And that's where I really dive into. I do weekly trainings in there, 15 minutes, because our brains, right? They don't like to be distracted too long. So I do on all sorts of topics, adult children and people pleasing and creating, healthy boundaries and whatnot. It's also where I put out my first offers in terms of RTT therapy. And I've got a little special going on now because I'm just new to it. So yeah, that's the place that you'll find me the most. Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you. Please stay still. Let me close out. And I'll be back to talk to you. Give me a moment.
Thank you.
Okay, so y'all heard. Want to make sure you're right. Y'all heard Janine say that you have to dig in and you have to be in tune with that little girl that's on the inside of you. You have to get out of your own cage of complacency, whatever that is, whatever it is that you are addicted to, whatever that thing is that you're craving more than your peace. You have to get out of the space of that and ask yourself, why am I experiencing these things? Why am I going through these things? And then listen. Another thing that she said that was very interesting to me was that curiosity. We've all heard the saying that curiosity killed the cat. You know what? But knowledge brought them back. You have to make sure that you're curious enough to go out there and destroy any and everything that is holding you back. You cannot create an exit plan until you can see yourself outside of the problem, whether the problem is a relationship, a job, a friendship, your own bad behaviors or your own BS, your belief system, whatever it is, you have to be willing to see yourself outside of that so that you can move forward. I know that you can because you are the boss. You are the CEO of your own life. And you know how I feel. As a CEO, you get to promote, demote, and terminate anything and anyone that is no longer serving you. Once you realize how much strength you have, there is nothing and no one that can stop you. I'm cheering for you, and I know that you are able to step out of your own way and be the best version of yourself. I love you, and I will see you all next week.